As a child, Miss Peggy Northrop had only known newspapers as her family owned one, but magazines had ended up being her life's work. Having worked for women's magazines like Glamour and Vogue, she's now the global editor-in-chief of Reader's Digest magazine. Under her watch, she has not only revamped the magazine, helped it win its first award, but also increased its reach to more readers. So you've won awards and worked for some of the biggest magazines in the U.S. How did you achieve all that?
Well, I always went on the job interview, first of all. I always was interested in media, but I wasn't sure that I wanted to be a magazine editor. I was brought up in a newspaper family, and I thought that everybody went to work at a newspaper. And I did do some time at newspapers, but I loved the idea of going a little bit more in depth and of working on a monthly schedule, and eventually got the opportunity to work at a monthly magazine out on the West Coast where I was living, and it really took off from there. There's so much you can learn on a monthly magazine. It's like every month you get another education, so that was what really drove me through my career.
Do you think growing up in a newspaper family has helped shape your career in the magazine industry?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think like a lot of children, you don't realize what you learn from your family, but I find myself thinking back to my father, who was a newspaper publisher, thinking back to the lessons that he was learning and that he was passing along to all of us, even around the dinner table. So yeah, it really did affect my career a lot. And I think especially the sense of working in a community newspaper, which was what my background was, a very small town, a very small newspaper, but that sense of engagement with readers and the feeling that you are invited into their homes every day and that you have a real responsibility to those people who trust your information and who see you as someone that they can rely on, and in good times and in bad times, really affected the way I look at my career and the way I think about my readers today.
Having to work in the magazine industry like day in, day out, do you still enjoy reading them?
That's a very good question, because sometimes I think, a magazine, I have to read another magazine. I don't know, I would. So for fun, I have to say what I like to do is sit down with a really great novel.
So what are your favorite magazines then, since you are sort of a leader in the magazine industry?
Well, of course, I read my friends' magazines because I have a lot of friends who work in the business now, and I'm always interested in what they are doing. So I try to read everything. I mean, I still read Vogue magazine, where I worked for 5 years. I still read Glamour magazine because I think they do such a nice job and are so important for young women, and those people will be my customers at some point in their lives, probably. I like to keep track of what's happening in business. I read The Economist. I read the news magazines. I love to read Wired because I have the sort of geeky side, and I like to keep up on all the tech news. Of course, fashion magazines. I can't wait to find out what's happening in fashion, even though it's not something I'm covering in my magazine. Now I can look at it as really a pleasure for me.
Do you socialize online, like using Twitter or Facebook?
I do. In fact, I was very upset because I could not get Facebook when I was in Beijing. And so, yes, I play Scrabble on Facebook. I challenge anyone to play Scrabble with me. And I keep track of my family and friends that way, and keep up with people that I've met around the world. It's a really wonderful thing. And I do have a Twitter account. I don't use it as often as I follow other people. So I find that sometimes I'll go on and I will even search Reader's Digest to see what people are saying about Reader's Digest on Twitter. And so it's a wonderful tool for those of us in the business to find out how people are really talking about our brands.
Do you have a lot of followers on Twitter?
I don't yet, no, because I have not devoted the time to it. That's something that I'm going to have to really buckle down and do, I'm afraid.
Okay. Could you tell us more about your involvement in the humanitarian organization, CARE?
CARE is something that I got involved with about 5 years ago when I was at More Magazine. And because they are a global organization really focusing on empowering women, I found it very meaningful to be involved with them. And they want to help make women and girls more independent, give them the tools that they need to start their own businesses and to become educated. And I had the opportunity when I was at More to take a group of readers to Peru to see some of CARE's work in action, and it was really, I brought my daughter with me who was then 14, and it was really one of the most meaningful travel experiences I've ever had to see how a small amount of technical help or a micro loan can reverberate not just through a woman's life and her family's life, but then out into her community. So it really is. It's like it was almost like magic watching a small donation, a small bit of help, just kind of blossom into a network of relationships and improvement in women and girls' lives. So it's something that I'm still very, very interested in and interested in promoting. And plus, it works. We're interested in what actually works, what helps people. And I think they have a model that really works.
With so many achievements under her belt, the woman who is over 40 years old is not about to rest on her laurels. What's your next big project?
My next big project is, actually I have two. Am I allowed to have two? I have two big projects. One of them is to launch something that we are calling the Reader's Digest version. And I don't know whether people say this here, but they certainly do in the United States, that when they want to get straight to the point about whatever it is, they'll say, I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version, or they'll say, please don't give me all of that information, just give me the Reader's Digest version. So we are starting a website that will be based on the Reader's Digest version, where we will ourselves load summaries of our own stories, of our own books, summaries of information, and then we will invite our readers to do the same. So whether it's a movie that you saw last night or a political event that you are interested in, you'll have the chance to share your short summary with other readers. So I'm very, very excited about that because it also helps get us very firmly into a new platform. I mean, we're already on the web, of course, and we have Kindle subscriptions, and we have a lot going on digitally, but I think Reader's Digest version is going to be a great project. And the second thing I'm working on in the U.S. is we're launching a new health and wellness magazine for women over 40 called Best You, which will deal with wellness, nutrition, exercise, beauty, and it gets me back to my women's magazine roots a little bit, which I'm excited about.
No surprise for someone who has worked for fashion magazines. Peggy says the new magazine will be launched next year.